Hello everyone, once again welcome back to this YouTube channel. So in our pathology series, our today's topic was lung pathology. So let's begin. So lungs pathology, as we all know, our normal respiratory tract is trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, then terminal bronchioles, then respiratory bronchioles, and then alveoli. So this is the normal respiratory tract. Now, the respiratory bronchioles and the alveoli, these together known as the acinus. So, this is the normal respiratory tract. Now, the lining of the respiratory tract. So, the lining is of pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelium. Lining is made up of pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelium, and there is exception. So, exception is that in the vocal cords, squamous epithelium is present, and in the alveoli, pneumocytes were present. So, in alveoli, pneumocytes are present and vocal cords squamous epithelium. Now the congenital anomalies. So there is one congenital anomaly, that is pulmonary sequestration. Pulmonary sequestration. In this there is a separate mass of a lung tissue is present. Either the mass of a lung tissue is present extralobar or it is intralobar. So in this the most common side is left lower side. So as I show in this diagram that it involved the left lower side. So most common left lower lung is involved in this. So there is a mass of a lung tissue, whether it is extralobular or it is intralobar, and the blood supply which and the blood vessels which supply this mass is from the aorta. So from the aorta blood supply is there. Now this is about the congenital anomalies. Now next one is the obstructive lung disease and the restrictive lungs disease. So in obstructive lung disease, as we all know, we have COPD, asthma and bronchiectasis. COPD means the chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, which covers the emphysema and the chronic bronchitis. Both these were associated with smoking. So these both were associated with smoking, emphysema and chronic bronchitis, and the asthma and bronchiectasis. So these were the obstructive lung disease. So let's begin about the emphysema, which is associated with smoking. So for emphysema we have to remember one particular point, that it is irreversible damage. So in emphysema there is irreversible damage to the air spaces distal to the terminal bronchioles, and as we all know, distal to terminal bronchiole is acinus. That covers the acinus is known as respiratory bronchioles, and alveoli together is known as acinus. So in emphysema there is damage to the acinus, and the damage is irreversible. So damage is irreversible. So for emphysema the definition is irreversible damage to air spaces distal to the terminal bronchioles, or we can say the acinus. So the acinus, irreversible damage of acinus. Now the pathogenesis of emphysema. So as we all know that in our lungs, elastase and anti-elastase both were in balanced position. So both were in balanced position, but due to the smokers, these elastase activity is going to increase. So elastase activities increase. So as the elastase increases means the anti-elastase decreases, and anti-elastase here is alpha antitrypsin. So alpha antitrypsin is anti-elastase. So as the elastase activity is increased means anti-elastase or alpha antitrypsin decreases. So as there is alpha antitrypsin deficiency, it leads to the emphysema. So this is the pathogenesis, that in emphysema there is deficiency of alpha antitrypsin. So the elastase activity is increasing in the emphysema. So this is the pathogenesis. Now the clinical feature which is present in the emphysema is, so the oxygen is coming inside our lungs, and there is difficulty in expiration of the CO2. So as there is difficulty in expiration of CO2, so the oxygen is more consumed in our body, and oxygen is get accumulated inside our body, which is known as pink puffers. So pink puffers, why they are emphysema patients were known as pink puffers? Because they have lot of oxygen. There is not any problem in the oxygen, there is problem with expiration of the CO2. So there is problem with expiration of CO2. So they are known as pink puffers. Please remember this, that the emphysema patients were known as pink puffers, because in the chronic bronchitis they were known as the blue buffers. So emphysema patients will have pink puffers and they have barrel shaped chest. So so their chest size is increasing. So they have barrel shaped chest and pink puffers. So this is the clinical features. Now on the radiology image we find that there is the, as we all know, this is the, as in this way the normal lungs were present in this. So if there is flattening of the diaphragm, it is seen in the emphysema. So in emphysema we find the flattening of diaphragm under the radiology. So in radiological picture is flattening of diaphragm. So this is about the emphysema. Now move to the types of the emphysema, like which type of acinas they are involving and which not. So the types of emphysema. So the types of emphysema have central acinar, pan-acinar, distal acinar, or we can say septal acinar, and irregular acinar. So in the centri acinar, as we know, in emphysema acinus is damaged. Acinus have problems. So in acinus involve the respiratory bronchioles and the alveoli. So if there is damage in respiratory bronchioles, then it is centri acinar. Then it is known as centri acinar because only the respiratory bronchioles are damaged. So respiratory bronchioles damaged and alveoli is spared, so it is centri acinar. And in pan acinar, pan means all. So in pan acinar, both respiratory bronchioles and alveoli both get damaged. So entire acinus is damaged because these together, respiratory bronchioles and alveoli, are known as the acinus. So in pan acinar, pan means all. Pan means all. So in pan acinar, both respiratory bronchioles and alveoli gets damaged. So entire acinus is damaged in pan acinar. So this is the pan acinar. Now the distal acinar. Distal means they are at a distance. So distant, at a distance is alveoli. So in this, or we can say septal. So in this, alveoli is damaged and respiratory bronchioles were spared. So in the distal acinus or septal acinus, alveoli is damaged. And in irregular acinus, as the name suggests, irregular means it can involve few parts of the respiratory bronchioles and few parts of the alveoli is damaged. So this is irregular acinar. Now the central acinar is the most common clinically. So central acinar is most common clinically and it is seen with smoking, and in this upper lobe is involving. And in the pan acinar, it is seen with alpha antitrypsin deficiency and it has lower lobe involvement. So these were the types of the acinar which were present. Those were the central acinar, pan acinar, distal and irregular. Central acinar is seen with smoking patient and in this upper lobe is involved, and in pan acinar lower lobe is involved and it is seen in the alpha antitrypsin deficiency patient. So these were the types of the acinar. Now moves to the chronic bronchitis. I hope you all get all the points related to the emphysema. Now move to the next, that is chronic bronchitis, which is also a part of COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, and it is also associated with the smoking. So this one is also associated with smoking. So now the definition for chronic bronchitis, please remember it is very important for a clinical diagnosis, that in chronic bronchitis patient there is a productive cough for at least 3 months in 2 consecutive years. Please remember that for at least 3 months and for 2 consecutive years there is productive cough is present. So this is the definition for chronic bronchitis. Please remember it. It is very important. Now as the person is a smoker, then smoking irritates the mucosa. As the mucosa irritates, then the mucus is secreted more. As the mucus is secreted more, then there is increased risk of infection. That mucus secretion leads to the risk of infection, and the most common infection is H. influenza, Haemophilus influenza. So the most common infection is Haemophilus influenza. Please remember it. And in this there is decrease of oxygen and it leads to the hypoxia because the mucus is more in the respiratory tract. So if there is more mucus, then there is decrease of oxygen. So hypoxia is seen in chronic bronchitis, but hypoxia is not seen in the emphysema patient because in emphysema patient there is a problem in the CO2 expiration, not in the O2 inspiration. So here the problem is oxygen inspiration. There is decrease of oxygen and it lead to hypoxia in chronic bronchitis. And Reed index is seen in the chronic bronchitis. Please remember that Reed index is found in the chronic bronchitis. We have to calculate the Reed index, and Reed index is increase in the chronic bronchitis. Please remember this point. It is very important point that Reed index is seen in is calculated in chronic bronchitis, and in chronic bronchitis Reed index is increased. So in chronic bronchitis Reed index is increased. So how we calculate the Reed index? For calculation we have one formula, that is Reed index is equal to thickness of the mucous gland layer upon my total thickness. So as the mucus is secreted more in the chronic bronchitis, so there is more thickness of the mucous gland layer. So in this there is thickness of mucous gland layer upon total thickness, and the Reed index is increased because mucus secretion is increased. So if the mucus secretion is increased, then the Ri index also increases. So normal value of the Ri is 0.4. So the normal value of Reed index is 0.4, and in chronic bronchitis this value is increased. In chronic bronchitis Reed index is increased. So now the clinical feature. So as in this there is hypoxia. So hypoxia is also known as blue bloaters because there is deficiency of oxygen. So blue bloaters were seen in chronic bronchitis patient, and pink puffers were in emphysema patient. Okay, please remember these points. These were very important points for diagnosis purpose, that blue bloaters were seen in the chronic bronchitis patient were the blue bloaters, and pink puffers were in emphysema. So as the oxygen decreases, then there is vasodilation occurs. So except one situation, that if there is decrease of oxygen only at one place where decreased oxygen leads to the vasoconstriction, and that is the pulmonary, that is our lungs. So in lungs if there is decreased oxygen, so in lungs if there is decreased oxygen, then vasoconstriction will occur, and all other places there is vasodilation. So decreased oxygen means hypoxia lead to vasodilation, but in the lungs hypoxia lead to vasoconstriction. So this is an exception case. Please remember that in lungs due to hypoxia vasoconstriction is there. So due to vasoconstriction is there, if vasoconstriction is present, then there is pulmonary hypertension is there. So pulmonary hypertension lead to the right sided heart failure. So if the heart failure is due to the lungs, then it is known as cor pulmonale. So cor pulmonale is when there is heart failure, and the reason for heart failure is not the left ventricle, the reason is the lungs. So this is a cor pulmonale. Please remember this. For cor pulmonale, the right side heart failure is due to the pulmonary, means due to the lungs there is heart failure of the right side, that is known as cor pulmonale. Now next is, after the chronic bronchitis we have the asthma, that is also a obstructive lung disease. Now asthma, as we all know, it is a type 1 hypersensitivity. So asthma is a type 1 hypersensitivity, and in asthma please remember 3C because these were very important for the point of a pathology. So asthma have 3C. So on the microscopic examination of the sputum we find 3C. Please remember this, that on ME we find the 3C. And what were these 3 C's? So first C is Charcot Leyden crystal. As we see in this, there is this Leyden, as we see here, this is a Charcot Leyden. So this is a Charcot Leyden, and it is a Charcot Leyden crystal. Please remember, first C is in asthma, first C is for Charcot Leyden crystal. Charcot Leyden crystal, or we can say galactin 10. Charcot Leyden crystal is seen in the asthma. And second C is Seriola bodies. Second C is a Seriola bodies. So as we see here, Seriola bodies were seen, and it is a cluster of the epithelial cells. So whatever Seriola body is made of, so Seriola bodies are the cluster of epithelial cells. So Seriola bodies are the clusters of epithelial cells as we see here. Now first C is for Charcot Leyden crystals. First C is for Charcot Leyden crystal, and it is contain of galactin 10. And Seriola bodies contains the cluster of the epithelial cells as we see here. And the third C is for Crushman spiral. Third C is for Crushman spiral due to the mucus, as this is seen in a Crushman spiral foam. So this is a Crushman spiral. So these were the 3C for the asthma. First C is for Charcot Leyden crystal, second C is for Seriola bodies, and third C is for Crushman spiral. These 3 C's were seen in the asthma. Now the airway remodeling in the asthma. So as increase in the smooth muscles, increase in the collagen or fibrous tissue, and in this there is one, it is also associated with the genetics, and that genetic is atopy, because in atopy family pattern is following, like the mother also has the same problem with the that particular pollen grains, and her child also has that particular problem. So it is known as atopy. So it is known as atopy, and atopy is due to chromosome number 5. So atopy, as the atopy contains the 5 letter A T O P Y, 1 2 3 4 5. So it is in chromosome number 5. So chromosome number 5, atopy. So this is about the air remodeling in the asthma. Now next obstructive lung disease is the bronchiectasis. So bronchiectasis, ectasis means dilation, ectasis means dilation, and bronchi means bronchioles. So there is dilation of bronchioles or bronchi. So bronchiectasis is a dilation of bronchi and bronchioles. And for this the investigation of choice is HRCT. Please remember that bronchiectasis investigation of choice is HRCT, and most common lobe involvement in this is left lower lobe. You can make like this, that in this the left lower lobe is involving. So in this the left lower lobe is involving. So this is about the bronchiectasis. And what were the causes for bronchiectasis? So the causes were genetic also and the acquired also. For acquired we had the like obstructive or due to sepsis is bronchiectasis occurs. So acquired causes were obstructive and sepsis, and genetic causes were cystic fibrosis and Cartagena syndrome. Cystic fibrosis and Cartagena syndrome. For the Cartagena syndrome we have one tried, that is a first you know the Cartagena syndrome. What is it? Is a ciliary dysfunction. There is dysfunction of the cilia. Why there is ciliary dysfunction? Due to the dynein defect. So in Cartagena syndrome there is dynein defect. And the triad which is seen in for Cartagena syndrome is that the person has the bronchiectasis, sinusitis, and situs inversus. Means there is normally the heart is present in the left side, but in these persons the heart is present in the right side. So this is known as situs inversus. So in the Cartagena syndrome situs inversus is seen. So like example dextrocardia. And with these 3 features, if there is also male and female infertility is found. So in Cartagena syndrome there is ciliary dysfunction, because cilia are also present in the fallopian tube for the movement of the sperm and for the movement of the ova. And in the lungs also cilia were present to remove the mucus and to for clearance purposes. So there is defect in the cilia, so due to the dynein defect, and that lead to the male or female infertility, and also lead to the bronchiectasis, because there were lot of dilation of the bronchi and bronchioles, and situs inversus and sinusitis. So this is about the bronchiectasis. I hope you all clear with obstructive lung disease. Now move to the restrictive lung disease. For the restrictive lung disease, as the name suggests, restriction is there, means the lungs get restricted due to the fibrosis, and the it is seen with pneumoconiosis. It is seen with pneumoconiosis. So in restrictive lung disease it is due to the fibrosis. Pneumoconiosis is a occupational related disease, and the most common pneumoconiosis is with silicosis, and the dangerous particle size which cause the pneumoconiosis is 0.5 to 5 micron. Please remember this value, that the dangerous particle size is 0.5 to 5 micron. And the lobe which is involved in pneumoconiosis, so in all the pneumoconiosis upper lobe is involved in, except in the asbestosis in which the lower lobe is involving. So in all the pneumoconiosis upper lobe is involving, but in the asbestosis lower lobe is involving, as the name suggests, asbestosis. So we can make base as base, so means the base of the lung, that is the left lower lobe, so lower side. So it is occur in the lower side, and all other pneumoconiosis in the upper lobe. Now let's move to the pneumoconiosis types. So first one is the silicosis, which is also known as Grinder's disease or Meniere's disease. So in this Most common, it is due to quartz. And the lungs shows the nodular fibrosis, as we see here that the lungs has the nodular fibrosis. And on the we see the egg cell calcification. So lymph node shows the egg cell calcification, and there is increased risk of TB and cancer in the silicosis. So in the silicosis patient, most commonly quartz there, lungs nodular fibrosis shows, LN shows the egg cell calcifications, and there is increased risk of TB and cancer. Now next pneumoconiosis is cold worker pneumoconiosis. Due to the cold, there is pneumoconiosis occurs. So cold worker pneumoconiosis means there is, due to the cold, there is restriction of the lungs. In cold worker pneumoconiosis, as we know, the cold is in black in color. So in this black lungs, that is anthracosis. In this, the patient is asymptomatic. After black lungs, simple CWP will occur. In simple CVP, emphysema or century acinar involvement is there. And after single cold worker pneumoconiosis, there is complicated cold worker pneumoconiosis, which shows the fibrosis. So complicated shows the fibrosis, and simple shows the emphysema, and there is century acinar type, and black lungs were asymptomatic. Now there is one important point, that what is Kaplan syndrome. So in the Kaplan syndrome, there is cold worker pneumoconiosis plus there is rheumatoid arthritis, is seen. So what is Kaplan syndrome? So Kaplan syndrome is CWP plus RA, means cold worker pneumoconiosis plus rheumatoid arthritis. This is a Kaplan syndrome. So this, please remember this. Sometimes a direct question will come like, what is a Kaplan syndrome? It is a CWP plus rheumatoid arthritis. Now next, after the cold, after the silicosis, we have the asbestosis. As we know, this is this involves the left lower lung, left lower lobe, and all other involve the upper lobe. So it's the forms of the asbestosis were amphibole and serpentine. As we all know, the amphiboles means the amphibians were in like this shape, like the crocodolite is a amphibole, like crocodile is an amphibole. So it is a more dangerous. So this form is more dangerous. Which form? Amphibole or crocodilot form is more dangerous. And second type is the serpentine, or we can say chrysolite. So serpentine and chrysolite. Serpentine means snake like, and chrysolite. So now the how it occurs. So first pleural plaque is there. First lesion is pleural plaque, and pleural plaque is converted into the pleural nodule, and pleural nodule is converted into the cancer. So first lesion is pleural plaque. So in the asbestosis, first lesion is pleural plaque. After the pleural plaque is going to convert into the pleural nodule, and pleural nodule have the pleural nodules were seen like asbestos body, or we can, the other name for asbestos body is ferruginous body, means the ferruginous body. Ferru means iron deposition. So asbestos body or ferruginous body is seen in the pleural nodule of the asbestosis. And we see here, so here these were the asbestos body. So these were like the dumbbell shaped body. So these were the asbestos body. Dumbbell shaped body, I am telling you, I am not telling you dumbbell shaped crystal which is seen in the calcium carbonate, calcium oxalate monohydrate. Dumbbell shaped crystal were seen, but this is a dumbbell shaped body. So dumbbell shaped body. So how why it is a dumbbell shaped body? Suppose this is a asbestos fiber, and near the asbestos fiber surrounding there is iron deposition. That's why the other name for asbestos body is ferruginous body, because there is deposition of iron around the asbestos fiber. And as we all know that iron is stained by the Prussian blue stain. So stain for iron is Prussian blue, and iron is deposited, and it is a asbestos body. So asbestos body is seen in pleural nodule. It is seen in pleural nodule, and after the pleural nodule there is cancer, and the most common cancer is adenocarcinoma, and the most specific, S for specific and S for mesothelioma. So the most specific cancer is mesothelioma, and the most common cancer is adenocarcinoma. Please remember this most specific is mesothelioma cancer. After this, we have some pneumoconiosis. Like if it is due to barytosis, then it means that there is deposition of barium. It is due to barium. Berylliosis means beryllium, and barytosis means barium. Please remember this. Do not confuse between them. Berylliosis means beryllium. Barytosis means barium. And byssinosis. Byssinosis, as this is most important question, that it already come into 2021 July. This FMG exam, that cotton, organic dust, sugarcane dust. So it is bagosis. Sorry, sugarcane dust is bagosis. This question comes, sugarcane dust, bagosis, cardboard like. So bagosis. And byssinosis means sometimes something business is there, we can remember like that. In byssinosis, business is there, and business is of cotton. So byssinosis, cotton dust or organic dust. And bagosis, like in the bag we planted a sugar cane, so bagosis means sugarcane dust. So bagasis is due to sugarcane dust, as it is important because it comes in the FMG 2021. Please remember this. So sugarcane dust, bagosis. And iron oxide have sidrosis. And for tin oxide we have stenosis. Tin oxide, stenosis, tin, tan. We can also call for our learning purpose that stenosis means tin oxide, siderosis, iron oxide, bagosis, sugarcane dust. Byssinosis means there is business of cotton dust or organic dust. Berylliosis means beryllium, and barytosis means barium. So this is about the pneumoconiosis. After the pneumoconiosis, let's move to the infection. So in infection we have pulmonary abscess, pneumonia, and TB infection. So the pulmonary abscess, the most common cause of pulmonary abscess is aspiration, means the some food particles gets into the left lower lobe. So the pulmonary abscess, and the reason, the bacteria which gets surrounding that particular food particle is staph aureus. So due to the so in the aspiration, most common cause is aspiration for the pulmonary abscess, and the bacteria is staph aureus. And the most common lobe is right lower lobe, as I draw in this photo also, that the right lower lobe. And right bronchus is more vertical. Why the right lower lobe is most common? Because the left lobe bronchus is more vertical, more perpendicular, but the right bronchus is more vertical. So this is the reason that why the right lower lobe is involving in the aspiration, and the most common cause is for pulmonary abscess. Next one is the pneumonia. So in pneumonia, as it is an infection of lung parenchyma. So if someone asks you what is the definition of pneumonia, so pneumonia is a infection of lung parenchyma. Infection of lung parenchyma. So pneumonia are two types: typical pneumonia and atypical pneumonia. So in the typical pneumonia we have the bacteria and neutrophils, while in the atypical pneumonia the most common cause is mycoplasma and lymphocytes. So for atypical pneumonia, most common cause is mycoplasma and lymphocytes. So let's discuss some difference between the typical and atypical pneumonia. So for the typical pneumonia, typical to the acinus, we can remember like that typical pneumonia is for typical to the acinus, means it involves the respiratory bronchioles and the alveoli. So it is intra-alveolar exudate. So it is intra-alveolar, means inside the alveoli. So it is intra-alveolar exudate, which is seen in typical pneumonia. And for atypical pneumonia, it is interstitial inflammation, means it is outside the acinus, it is out in between the acinus. So interstitial inflammation is seen with atypical pneumonia, while the intra-alveolar exudate is seen with typical pneumonia. And these were the hallmarks for the pneumonia. So please remember the hallmarks for typical pneumonia and atypical pneumonia were: for typical pneumonia the hallmark is intra-alveolar exudate, and for the atypical pneumonia the hallmark is interstitial inflammation, and the productive cough is present if there is typical pneumonia. So productive cough is seen with typical pneumonia because it involved the acinus. Now the typical pneumonia were two type: lobar pneumonia and bronchi pneumonia. In the lobar pneumonia, it means that it involved the lobes, so lobes of the lungs. So it involved the lobes, and it is of diffuse type. And bronchopneumonia is of patchy type. And as I draw in this diagram, so bronchopneumonia is of patchy type, and it involves both the lungs. So bilateral means both lungs are involving in bronchopneumonia, and basal part is involving, and it is seen mostly in the child and or in the old age person. Either it is seen in child or it is seen in old age. Okay, so this is about the pneumonia. Now the stages of the pneumonia. For the stages of pneumonia, we have first stage is congestion, red hepatization, gray hepatization, and resolution. So congestion stage will occur for 1 to 2 days. After the 1 to 2 days, it convert into the red hepatization. Red hepatization is for 2 to 4 days, and gray hepatization is for 4 to 8 days, and resolution is for 8 to 10 days. We can also see it is a table of a 2, like 1 to 2, 2 to the 4, 4 to the 8, 8 so as we see, it is a table of a 2, like 1 to 2 days, then 2 to the 4, 2 3 2 4 the 8, and then 8, after 8, 8 to 10 days. So 2 to 4, 2 to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 10 days, and we can remember it like CRGR. Congestion, then red hepatization, gray hepatization, and then resolution for after the 8 to 10 days. And the most common causes of the community acquired pneumonia is streptococcus pneumonia, and hospital acquired pneumonia is staph aureus. Please remember that community acquired pneumonia is streptococcus pneumonia, and for the hospital acquired pneumonia is the staph aureus. And the pneumonia in the burn patient, if the patient get burned, then the pneumonia which occurs is due to the pseudomonas, and it shows the blue green color to the sputum. So blue green color is shown by the pseudomonas, and this pneumonia is seen in the burns patient. And the most common cause of pneumonia in ICU patient is Legionella. Please remember these types of the pneumonia, like community acquired pneumonia, streptococcus; hospital acquired pneumonia, staph aureus; burn patient, pseudomonas; ICU patient, Legionella infection. And the most common cause of pneumonia in a chronic alcoholic person. Chronic, we can like chronic like a K in Hindi, so means it is seen with Klebsiella. So it is seen with Klebsiella, and Klebsiella show the red currant jelly sputum. So Klebsiella show the red currant jelly sputum. Now after the pneumonia, let's move to the TB, that is tuberculosis. So in TB, the most common organism is Mycobacterium tuberculosis, which is the acid fast organism, and the acid fastness is by the mycolic acid, and virulence factor is a code factor. Code factor is a virulence factor, and acid fastness is mycolic acid. The types of TB were primary, secondary, and disseminated TB. So disseminated TB is also known as miliary TB. So in the primary TB, it is either involve the lower part of the upper lobe, or it can involve the upper part of the lower lobe. As we can remember it with the help of a diagram, that primary TB involve the lower part of the upper lobe, or we can say the upper part of the lower lobe. And secondary TB involve the apex, and cavity is present in the secondary TB. Now for the Ghon focus is seen in the lungs. Ghon complex is seen lung plus hilar lymph node. Ranke complex is a calcification. Pulse focus is supraclavicular lung. Assman focus is infraclavicular. Simon focus is apex of the lungs. Simon focus is seen in the liver. Vigard focus is seen in the blood vessels, and Rich focus is seen in the brain. So these were the focuses. Please remember that Ghon focus, lungs; Ghon complex, if it involved the lungs plus hilar lymph node. Ranke complex, calcification. Pulse focus, supraclavicular. Assman focus, infraclavicular. Simon focus is apex of the lungs. Simon, here the Simon, here is Simon and here is Simon. Please remember that Simon is in the liver and Simon is at the apex of the lung. Vagard focus is involving blood vessels. We can remember it like Vagard, W for Vagard, W for vessels, like this. And Rich focus involve the brain. So these were the types of the focuses which we see. Now the diagnosis for TB. So for the diagnosis, we do the sputum concentration, and which method we use? We use the Petrov's method. And for the stain, Jaden stain is used, and we culture it on LJ medium. LJ stands for Lowenstein-Janssen medium. LJ stands for Lowenstein-Janssens medium. And we see in this that the TB is red in color, tuberculosis bacteria is red in color, and the background is whole in blue in color. So this is a Jaden stain. It is a photo of a Jaden stain in which we see the tuberculosis is of red in color and the background is blue in color. Now the granulomatous infection. So granulomatous infection is TB and sarcoidosis. TB we already discussed. So let's we discuss the sarcoidosis. So for the sarcoidosis we do the test. So normally CD4 is to CD8 ratio is 2 is to 1, but sarcoidosis is a immunological disorder. So sarcoidosis is a immunological disorder, and in this the CD4 is to CD8 ratio increases. Normally what is the ratio? CD4 is to CD8, that is 2 is to 1, but in the sarcoidosis, as it is a immunological disorder, this ratio increases, and in the sarcoidosis we see the metastatic calcification. We see the metastatic calcification means the calcium level is increasing in sarcoidosis, and there is also increasing in the ACE enzymes, means angiotensin converting enzyme is increasing in this. And for the sarcoidosis we do the test. The name of the test is KVM test. Please remember that it is very important test, that in the sarcoidosis we do the KVM test, KVEIM test for sarcoidosis. And in the sarcoidosis the organs which were affected is lymph node, lungs, liver, spleen, bone marrow, eyes and skin. So these were the organs which were affected in the sarcoidosis, because it is a immunological disorder, so it can involve all other organs also. Now on the microscopic examination, what were the we have to diagnosis of exclusion, that is we have to diagnose we have to excluded the non-caseating granuloma, naked granuloma, asteroid body and schwannoma bodies. Schwannoma bodies we can remember as for sarcoidosis, and C for calcium, means Schwann bodies were seen in the sarcoidosis. I'm so sorry, it is a Schwann bodies. Schwann bodies were seen in sarcoidosis, S for sarcoidosis and C for calcium. So in the sarcoidosis we see the Schwann bodies. Schwann bodies were seen in the sarcoidosis, and these were the giant cells. This is a asteroid body, and this is a giant cell, and we in the giant cell we see the asteroid body. After this, after the infection we have to move to the lungs tumor. So in the lungs tumors, the most common lung tumor is of metastasis. So metastasis is the most common lung tumor. Please remember the most common lung tumor is metastasis. And in this we see the cannonball metastasis. So on the cannonball metastasis is seen in the lung tumor. So lung tumors were benign and malignant. So the benign, most common benign tumor, lung tumor is pulmonary hamartoma. Please remember that the most common benign lung tumor is pulmonary hamartoma, and malignant we have to discuss about the malignant. Those were the squamous cell carcinoma, adenocarcinoma, small cell carcinoma and large cell carcinoma. These all were the malignant lung tumors. So squamous cell carcinoma, adenocarcinoma, adeno means glands, small cell carcinoma and large cell carcinoma. Now as the letters which were started with S means squamous, and small cell means these both were in these both smokers were present, means the risk factor is smokers, so it is seen with smoking. So squamous cell carcinoma, S for squamous, S for small cell carcinoma, in both these smokers is risk factor. And the most common is adenocarcinoma. Overall the most common is adenocarcinoma. So now the smokers as small cell carcinoma and squamous cell carcinoma is seen with smoking. So the most common, it involve the male, and adenocarcinoma involve the female. So adenocarcinoma involve the female. And as for smoker, as for squamous cell carcinoma, and in this male smokes the more, that's why these both involve most commonly male. Now in the squamous cell carcinoma, as for smoker, as for squamous, and smoking is done by male. So in this the central part is involving. So S for small, S for smoker, and we can also remember it like S for central. So S for central. So in the squamous cell carcinoma and small cell carcinoma, central part is involving. And now and the large cell cancer and adenocarcinoma involve the periphery. Now the genes which were involving in this, so for the squamous cell carcinoma P53 mutation is there. For the adenocarcinoma we have KRAS, EGFR and ALK gene mutation is seen. So in adenocarcinoma KRAS, EGFR and ALK gene mutation is seen, while in the squamous P53 mutation is seen, while in the small cell cancer carcinoma LMYC gene mutation is there. LMYC mutation is seen with small cell cancer. carcinoma. On the microscopic examination on the squamous cell carcinoma, we find the keratin pulse. While in the adenocarcinoma, as the name suggests, adrenal gland. So in this, the glands were present, and in the small cell carcinoma, we have find on the microscopic image salt and paper chromatin and the Azzopardi effect. So Azzopardi effect is seen with small cell carcinoma. Please remember this. Azzopardi effect is seen with small cell carcinoma, and in the which is present in the squamous small cell carcinoma is NSE, and while in the adenocarcinoma MUC positive and Nepsin A is positive. Nepsin A and MUC is positive in adenocarcinoma, while the NSE is positive in small cell carcinoma. Now, paraneoplastic syndrome association. So in the squamous cell carcinoma there is hypercalcemia. In the adenocarcinoma, Trauzi phenomena is paraneoplastic syndrome is Trauzi phenomena, which is also known as migratory thrombophlebitis. And while the small cell carcinoma, the paraneoplastic syndrome is SIADH, Cushing disease, and Lambert-Eaton syndrome. SIDH, Cushing, and Lambert-Eaton syndrome. While in the large cell carcinoma, gynecomastia is the paraneoplastic syndrome. Now moves to their microscopic image. As we see here, this is a squamous cell carcinoma, and this one is a adenocarcinoma of the lungs, because as we see here the dilation of the glands, and this is a deposition of a carbon which is shown here black in color. So it is a adenocarcinoma because adrenal glands were seen. This is a squamous cell carcinoma, and this one is a small cell carcinoma because as we see here there is a salt and paper chromatin, as it is like this. So this is a small cell carcinoma. In this we see a salt pepper chromatin is there, and there we also see the Azzopardi effect. So what is the Azzopardi effect? Basically Azzopardi effect is a small cell bluish discoloration of the blood vessel wall. So in this, as we see, this is a blood vessels which is seen in blue in color. So this is a blood vessels but it show blue color, that's why it is a Azzopardi effect, and Azzopardi effect is seen in the small cell carcinoma, and also the salt and paper chromatin is also seen in the small cell carcinoma. So these were the microscopic picture for these malignant lung tumors. Now they are spread. So the most common small cell cancer or oat cell cancer which spread to the brain is small cell cancer and oat cell cancer. So the spread to brain is most commonly by small cell or oat cell cancer, and it is most aggressive. So it is most aggressive. So small cell cancer is carcinoma is most aggressive carcinoma, and second most common is adrenal gland. Second most common is adrenal gland, but first most common is small cell carcinoma, or we can say oat cell cancer. Now next one is the Pancoast tumor. So Pancoast tumor, as it is at the apex, and squamous cell carcinoma. It compresses the sympathetic chain. So as the sympathetic chain compresses, then it shows the Horner syndrome. So for the Horner syndrome, we have one trick, that what were the features were seen in the Horner syndrome. So in Horner syndrome, we have seen that ample, A for anhidrosis, M for meiosis, P for ptosis, L for loss of ciliospinal reflex, and E for exophthalmos. E for exophthalmos. So these were the features which were seen in the Horner syndrome, ample. Now next is after the Pancoast tumor, as Pancoast tumor involved the apex of the lungs, squamous cell carcinoma. Now next one is the carcinoid tumor. So carcinoid tumor, the cells of origin is from the Apud cell, enterochromaffin cells, Kulczynski cells. Please remember that the cells of origin for carcinoid tumor were Apud cell, enterochromaffin cells, and Kulczynski cells. So in this enterochromaffin cells there is a serotonin, and serotonin leads to the carcinoid syndrome. Carcinoid tumor also involves the GIT and lungs, and GIT most commonly foregut, midgut, and hindgut. Midgut, M for metastasis is there. So carcinoid tumor is due to 5-HT, that is serotonin. Carcinoid syndrome will occur. From the carcinoid tumor, carcinoid syndrome will occur due to the serotonin. Now the cardiac complication of carcinoid syndrome is right side of the heart is affected. Why the right side, not the left side? Because the lungs metabolize the serotonin. That's why there is no involvement of the left side, only the right side is involvement, because lungs metabolized the serotonin. So lungs metabolize the serotonin, that's why there is no involvement of the left side. And the most common is in the right side heart is affected, but the most common feature is tricuspid regurgitation is seen in the carcinoid tumor. Carcinoid syndrome, the most common heart defect which is seen is tricuspid regurgitation. After this we have the pleural tumor, and the pleural tumor is mesothelioma. As we know that it is the most common specific lung tumor, that is mesothelioma, and it is associated with asbestosis and psammoma bodies. It is associated with asbestosis and psammoma bodies. So this is all about the lungs pathology. I hope you all get some new information from this video. Thank you. Bye bye.